Joining me now, the head coach of the Kelowna Rockets, Kris Mallette. Coach, camp is well in the books, and we're now looking ahead to the start of the WHL preseason. But give me a sense, if you would, what's the mood been like? How excited are the guys to be back in Kelowna and ready for the start of another season here?
Yeah, I mean, it's not too often that you get as many returning players as we do this year. We've got two returning goalies, five defensemen, I think 11 or 12 forwards. So there's roster spots to be lost for sure, but the familiarity within our group is really exciting. A lot of familiar faces. The guys are happy to be back. The sun's shining in Kelowna, so it's another hockey season.
Tell you what, it's that time of year too, especially in that neck of the woods. It's like the sun never stops shining. But I mean, tell me a little bit about this returning core you have. I mean, it's certainly a strength for you when you look up and down the lineup. You've got guys like Doc and Sturch up front, and defensemen that are starting to come into their own. We'll ask you a little bit more about Caden Price down the line here, but I mean, there really are a lot of areas where your team seems to tick off a lot of the boxes, at least early in the season.
Yeah, I think if you were to start up front, obviously Colton Dock and Andrew Crystal, going to be relying heavily on those two, with also Gabriel Schutz and Adam Kidd, who last year solidified some real good minutes for us. But some guys have to take some real big steps this year. Guys like Max Graham, I think, are going to have to contribute a little bit more on the other side of the puck offensively, as well with a Nolan Flamen per se. We've got a good young group of 04s, in my opinion, with coupled with some 05s that we've also signed. So up front, I think we've got a good mix of balanced attack. Again, that's how we had success last year, and that committee, kind of score by committee. I think obviously our two-headed snake will be Doc and Crystal, but there is going to be some guys that throughout our lineup are going to provide obviously secondary scoring. But I think we've also got some grit, some tenacity within our group, and some guys that can really shut it down. So I'm excited about the guys up front, and on the back end, start with the 3 19-year-olds. Elias Carmichael, Jackson D'Souza, and Noah Dory. These are guys that have played some significant minutes in the league, going to be relied on heavily. Couple that with John Babcock, who took some big steps last year in his first full year, and garnered a lot of attention with the NHL teams. And then obviously you've got Caden Price, who was a steal in the second round for us, but our guys do their work and are able to find guys like that. And he's going to be a real special player to watch, especially coming off the U18s and all the confidence and accolades that he got there. It's going to only bode well for our group.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that because I know you had a conversation with the Rockets website after the end of the Linka Gretzky Cup, and just a lot's made of momentum, Kris, when you talk about the game of hockey. And I want to just ask you, I mean, you have two guys that went through that gold medal experience in Crystal and in Price in August, and for lack of a better term, maybe kickstarted their seasons here and into their draft years as well. But when you experience success on the international stage like that, is it natural to assume that maybe the good feelings and the momentum of that might carry over into your group as you kind of progress through camp and get ready for the season?
Well, that's the hopes. They, and rightfully so. I mean, they went in and weren't bystanders. They contributed. They played very significant roles for our group, and they've come back with a newfound confidence as well. I mean, Andrew Crystal has some swagger to him, but Caden Price, you see that he is a lot more confident, and that also goes hand in hand with a guy like Colton Dock as well, who's going to get a significant look in Chicago. We don't expect him back anytime soon. But if he does come back, the confidence playing with NHL guys, that speed, the strength, so on and so forth. And I'm hoping that will kind of trickle down throughout our group. If guys are aspiring to get to a certain position or area within their careers, that they look to those guys and use it as motivation.
The last one for you, Coach. I mean, you guys were a 42-win team last year with the returnees that you have. I mean, you look around the division, it might sound like a bit of a cliche question, but there's no easy nights in that division, and especially, you look up the road, a team hosting the Memorial Cup in May. But you know, when you bring back that experience and you bring back the guys that you have that have kind of been through the battles in the BC division over the course of their careers already, how much of that is a step forward for you guys as you start to prepare for, maybe a little bit of a different landscape in the BC division this year?
Well, yeah, down the road. I mean, even last year starting, you knew that Kamloops was going to be a team that competed, and they did. And we were fortunate to get on the right side of them early. And obviously, they took the second half of the season there. But you looked to Prince George, very good young players within their organization. Obviously, their two goaltenders having been drafted. We talked about the confidence aspect of things. I think that they're a team that last season took some steps and are obviously going to be much better for it. Vancouver, very well coached, and they've got some players there as well. So, Victoria works extremely hard. There are no, like you said, there are no off nights. Everybody knows what's at stake within our division and how tight it can be and how it can, sway one way to the other. So I know that the expectations within our group last year were exceeded, in my opinion. I think that nobody would have ever envisioned us doing as well as we did. Our sole goal last year was just to make the playoffs, not go in there knocking. So we got that small taste of it. So this season, our expectations are definitely up there again, and we understand that. Like I alluded to, some guys are really going to have to pick up some slack. We've lost some guys on the back end in Tyson Feist and Jake Lee. That's 30 goals there. Mark Lewinsky, 25. Pavel Novak, 30. You add that up, that's 85 goals out of your lineup. So you're looking down, and there's some guys that, like I said, are going to have to do it by committee. And I'm looking for some big contributions out of some younger players. And I think that, only time will tell, but hopefully we got off to the right start.